Hey there, survivor. If you can hear this, it means you're still alive. This is Jack's Nightmares, and this is your next story. The first rule of the Caravan is simple. Nobody drives alone. I remind myself of that while I stare through the cracked windshield and watch the taillights of Pete's old bounder sway ahead of me on the broken highway. 5 RVs in a staggered line, stretched out just enough so we have room to react, close enough that one bad stall will not split us in half. Jess's smaller Class C sits behind Pete, then the clinic, then Lucas in the heaviest rig, an old motorhome pulling a work trailer loaded with fencing, fuel drums, and scrap steel. Generators hang on rear racks, propane bottles ride in milk crates, extra fuel cans are strapped to ladders and to the tongue of Lucas's trailer. Most of our side windows carry wire mesh or bolted-on brackets now, ugly but solid. On the dash beside me sits our folded road atlas, pages patched with duct tape and new ink marks. Every back road and farm lane that still looks usable traced and labeled. The main interstates are off limits. Noise and traffic jams turned those into graveyards early in the outbreak. Out here, on the old state highway, the asphalt is cracked. Grass pushes through it, but for the moment it is still ours. The sun is dropping behind a distant line of wind turbines when Mara's voice comes through the handheld radio on my passenger seat. It crackles, then settles. Noah, fuel check. We passed the river tonight, or we are sleeping in a field. I glance at the gauge and watch the needle hang over a quarter tank. The auxiliary tank in the back is half full, good enough to cross the water and climb the next rise. I can make it, I answer. Ask Pete and Jess. Silence. Then Pete's slow tone, then Jess's quick one. Both say the same. Better if we stop before full dark. The infected drift at night. They follow noise and light. The longer the engines run, the more attention we attract. I scan the right side of the road and search for somewhere that will not trap us. No overpasses. No ditches we cannot climb out of. No narrow bridges. The map in my head runs ahead of the tires, ticking through what I remember. There is an abandoned rest stop a few miles before the river. I saw the faded sign an hour back. That will have to do. We pull in just as the sky reaches that washed-out grey where shapes start to blend together. The rest stop lot is cracked and tilted, grass growing through the concrete. A couple of rusted sedans sit nose first against the curb, doors open, glass long gone. No movement, no birds, no infected standing in the tree line doing nothing, which is sometimes worse than seeing them stumble. I swing the RV in a wide loop and park facing out toward the exit, then wave the others into the positions we practiced. Pete's rig behind and slightly left, Jess's smaller Class C to my right, Lucas with the work trailer in back covering the rear, and the 5th RV, the one we call the clinic, sliding into the middle for protection. Once the engines shut off, the silence hits hard. Not the peaceful kind. More like the world is listening to see what we do next. We step out one by one, boots on gravel, doors shut soft, eyes moving more than our mouths. We work without much talk because the routine is worn into us. Lucas and I pull the portable fencing sections off his trailer and lean them in a loose half circle around the open side of the formation. It is not real security, just enough to tangle anything that stumbles in at a run and give us a second to react. Jess checks the perimeter with the old shotgun across her chest, moving between dried weeds and broken picnic tables, glancing under each abandoned car. Mara climbs onto the roof of the clinic, unfolds the compact solar panels, and angles them to catch whatever light is left. Pete rolls out the extension cords from the generator carts, but does not start them yet. We only fire those up if someone needs power in a hurry, or the batteries drop too low. The rule is simple: noise only when necessary. We learned that the hard way near Indianapolis when a late movie night and a running air conditioner pulled in a herd that took half a day to lose. When the perimeter is set and the doors are barred from the inside with those simple steel brackets Lucas welded in place, we all circle near the tail end of my RV to go over the watch plan. One person up at all times, rotating every 2 hours, moving between the rigs with the night vision binoculars and the radio. Whoever is on watch walks once around the outer line of vehicles every half hour, checks the wheels, checks the fences, and looks at the fields beyond the rest stop. The rule about staying inside the circle after dark is not written anywhere, but every person here knows it. The world outside the headlights does not belong to us. Not anymore. Mara takes the first watch. She claims it keeps her from replaying old hospital nights in her head when she tries to sleep. I do not argue. I take the second shift. Jess and Pete split the late hours because they make a good pair. His calm and her quick focus. Lucas signs up for the last block before dawn, when the air is coldest and patience wears thin. Connor does not speak up. He just nods when Mara points at him for a middle-of-the-night slot and shrugs, as if it makes no difference to him when he is up. I notice it when I go back inside and latch the door. Connor's boots are cleaner than everyone else's. We have been in dust and dried mud all day, and his soles do not show it. It could mean nothing. He works around the generators more than he walks the fields. He deals with hoses and filters and the undersides of things. But it sticks in my thoughts while I move through the cramped interior of the RV and check the evening list. Water pump off until someone needs it. Faucet run just long enough to make sure it is still primed, then shut again. Blackout curtains pinned flat over every window, even the small bathroom vent. Dash camera light blinking on the front windshield, aimed outward through a cutout in the curtain. That last one is new. Lucas wired the dash cameras together 2 weeks ago and rigged them to deep cycle batteries so we can keep recording even with the engines off. Originally, it was for catching anyone foolish enough to sneak up on us from the front. Lately the cameras have a new job, proving that those slow creaks in the night really are only the wind. I lie on the narrow bed over the rear axle without undressing, boots still on, radio clipped to my belt. The engine is cooling under the floor, ticking and pinging every so often. The smells in here are familiar. Old upholstery, fuel residue from the jerry cans by the door, instant coffee, and the faint disinfectant Mara uses on shared surfaces whenever we park. I listen to the radio. Mara checks in every half hour, same words each time. Outer ring clear. No movement on the south field. No sound on the road. After an hour, the rhythm lulls my thoughts into something closer to rest, though I refuse to call it that. I glance once more at the red blinking light on the dash camera and feel a tiny slice of reassurance. At least if something moves out there, we might see it after the fact. The idea that anything might move inside the circle does not cross my mind yet. My watch comes at midnight. I step out into the cold air, shut the RV door behind me without a slam, and move between the rigs. The sky is clear. Stars hang sharp over the empty rest stop, and the broken streetlights stand useless and dark. I pace the perimeter, beam of my small flashlight aimed at the ground, not ahead. Looking at the ground tells you more. Fresh tracks, disturbed gravel, any pattern of movement from outside toward in. I pass the rusted sedans again, glance through their empty cabins, then swing the light along the fence sections and the wheel wells of each RV. Everything looks the way we left it. Hoses still coiled, generator cages locked, fuel cans tied down tight. No fresh footprints around the edges, just the mashed trail we made coming in. The only tracks leading toward the fields are old, baked into the dirt. Satisfied, I do another loop, then another, letting time blur a little. At the end of my shift, I tap on Pete's door and see his lined face in the crack as he wakes up fully faster than any person his age should. He nods, no questions, steps out with his own radio. I go back inside, reset the deadbolt, and close my eyes. I am asleep before I can decide whether I meant to be. Morning looks normal. Coffee boils on small stoves. Generator number 1 runs long enough to top off the battery bank on the clinic, and Jess's kid, Rowan, sits on the steps of their RV quietly tearing the cardboard from an old cereal box into small squares for a game he invented. That everyday detail is what makes the difference stand out to me. On the far edge of the rest stop lot, near the weeds, there are new marks in the dirt, straight lines in parallel pairs, here and there along the field side. At first I think it is from some animal dragging something heavy. Then I walk closer and see the pattern. Boot prints. Not all of them ours. Some fade out toward the highway where we know we came from. Others lead out into the field where none of us had reason to go. They move in a curve and disappear through a gap in the scrub, then only faintly return, as if whoever walked out there stepped carefully on the same ground coming back. I call everyone over. We do not shout. Word moves from one rig to the next, and soon the group stands in a half circle staring at the disturbed earth. Mara squints at the prints and compares the sole pattern against her own boot, then against mine. Jess lifts her rifle a little higher, scanning the fields beyond, as if whoever left those marks might still be visible. Pete just watches, jaw tight. Could have been someone passing by before we got here, Lucas offers. It is not convincing. The tracks overlay some of ours, not under. I follow one pair with my eyes, trace how it crosses the faint impression left by one of our, what do we call them, the old folding chairs we hauled out last night near the edge. Whoever walked out there did it after we were settled, after dark. I do the thing I do when something in my thinking feels unreasonable. I say it out loud anyway. Someone left the circle last night and went out there. Someone came back before dawn. Everyone turns slightly, measuring each other. Connor stands with his hands in his pockets, expression flat, gaze on the horizon instead of the ground. We do not vote on what to do next. There is only one tool we have for this: the cameras. Lucas and I go back to my RV and pull the memory cards from the dash unit, then from the one on Pete's rig and the one on Jess's. The cameras are pointed at different angles across the parking lot. Between the three, we can usually stitch together a rough view of anything that happens between the field and the road. The laptop we use for playback has a cracked screen, but the center still shows clearly. We hook up in the clinic, shades drawn, door latched. Everyone squeezes into the small space, shoulder to shoulder near the built-in couch and the counter. Connor hangs near the back, leaning against the bathroom door. Lucas scrubs through hours of nothing. Empty asphalt, faint shadows as clouds pass the moon, the occasional flare of a meteor overhead. Then, sometime after Pete's shift begins, a small shape moves at the edge of the frame. Lucas slows the feed to normal speed. At first it looks like a darker shadow moving between darker lumps of abandoned car. Then the figure crosses the strip of open ground between the rigs, and it is clearly a person, hood up, shoulders hunched. The walk is careful, deliberate, not the stumbling swaying of the infected. This is a person who knows where every loose rock is without needing to look down. The figure passes within 20 feet of Jess's front bumper. The infrared picks up the outline clear enough that we watch the person pause by the stacked fencing, crouch, then slip between two sections into the field. No flashlight, no visible weapon, just hands and a pack strapped tight across the back. The camera's angle is bad, and we lose the figure behind the scrub. Lucas switches feeds, catches the same person as a faint outline crossing the field, then disappearing into the dark. No one speaks. We watch the timestamp in the corner roll forward 40 minutes, 50, an hour. When the person comes back, the motion is slower. The pack looks heavier. There is something dark around the boots, a wet sheen that could be morning dew or something worse. The figure pauses between the rigs again, glances up toward my windshield, then moves on. Freeze it, I say. Lucas taps the keys and rewinds a few seconds, then pauses when the person looks up toward the camera. The hood falls back a little. The image is grainy and washed in grayscale, but we know the jawline, the way the nose tilts slightly, the set of the mouth. Connor closes his eyes for a second before anyone turns to look at him. He opens them again, when Jess steps aside so she is no longer blocking his path to the door. No one grabs him, no one raises a weapon. There is a weight in the air that does the job by itself. You want to explain? Mara asks. Her voice is even, neither hard nor soft. The same tone she used when asking families to step out of an emergency room to talk about a bad test result. Connor pulls his hands from his pockets. The right one trembles, and he curls it into a fist against his thigh, not to fight, just to give it something firm to push against. I will, he says, but not in here. We step back out into the rest stop lot. The sun is higher now. The shadows of the RVs lie shorter and darker on the ground. The prints in the dirt shine a little under the angled light, making the path Connor took almost obvious. He walks to the edge of the field and stops near one of the marks, then gestures out toward the knee-high scrub and the open land beyond. I have been tracking a herd, he says, small at first, 10, maybe 12. now more. They move parallel to us most nights. They keep to the fields and low spots in the land. We pass through an area, and a day or two later they drift through, following the same old rhythms as when there were still farm lights and traffic noises to draw them. He kneels, touches the ground at the spot where his footprints cross those of several heavier impressions. They sleep during the day in the tree lines. They rise at dusk and move. If I can predict where they will go, we can avoid them. If I push them with noise out there, he nods toward the distance, we can keep them from stumbling over us while we sleep. Jess frowns. You have been going out there alone at night to poke the herd. There is no admiration in her tone, only disbelief. We have rules about leaving the line. Connor nods once. I know. I broke them. I did not want you to vote on something you would never understand unless you saw it. And the only way for you to see it is for me to keep doing it, so I can bring you proof that the pattern is real. He reaches into his jacket and pulls out a small notebook. The pages inside are filled with tight handwriting, dates, rough maps with arrows, and numbers. They are learning to follow the sound of generators, to drift toward where the old gasoline smell is still strong. If we keep running the way we have, one night that herd or another will cut across our path and box us in. I have been moving them away from us. Mara takes the notebook, flips through it slowly, then looks from the marks on the page to the marks on the ground. The logic in Connor's story is clear, but the risk is enormous. One mistake out there, one misstep, and we would hear him cry out and then nothing, or we would hear nothing at all and only find the smeared trail by accident when we pull out in the morning. Jess crosses her arms, rifle strap creaking. You could have told us, she says. We could have gone as a pair. Connor shakes his head. Too many footsteps and the herd moves different. One person is a stray sound. Two is a pattern. They feel that. I tried it once before I joined you. We had a 3-truck convoy. We thought we were clever, taking turns going out with pots and hammers to steer a group away. They turned on us instead. The silence that follows is thicker than before. I know we cannot keep doing this. Secret night walks, hidden notebooks, and the hope that one man out beyond the fence can steer something that flocks to sound and movement. You are done with solo night work, I say. Whatever you think you are mapping, we will figure it out another way. Connor looks up at me, eyes narrowing, then relaxes. It is already too late for that, he says quietly. There is something else following the herd now. He leads us out to the far edge of the field, just past where the scrub opens into real grassland. From there, the land slopes downward to a low creek and then rises again toward a distant line of trees. In the middle distance, near a rusted irrigation pivot, there are new tracks in the dirt that are not ours, and not from the infected. Heavy tires, deep ruts, square-edged. I recognize the pattern from our early weeks on the road when we still tried to outrun the outbreak on main roads. It is the mark of a big truck with dual rear wheels hauling serious weight. The tracks cut across the faint footprints of the herd, then run parallel to them, then cross again. Someone with an engine bigger than anything in our caravan is shadowing the infected. They are herding the herd, Connor says, keeping them between us and them. I saw their lights 2 nights ago on the far ridge. I watched them circle the herd with the engine revved just enough to turn heads, but not enough to empty their tanks fast. They know what they are doing. They are using the dead as cover. The idea lands hard because it fits the pieces we have been ignoring. The faint echo of an engine we heard 3 nights ago and assumed was a distant farm generator sputtering out. The way we saw more infected on the overpasses lately, standing still and facing the same direction, as if listening. The feeling of not being alone even when the map showed nothing but empty counties in every direction. Mara flips a page in the notebook, scanning Connor's crude diagrams of herds and truck paths. Pete lets out a slow breath through his nose and studies the tire tracks. You think they are following us? He asks. Connor nods. Yes, I think the first time was coincidence. Then, someone on that truck noticed our line of rigs on the horizon. Same direction, same general speed. Once or twice could be chance. 5 times in a week is intent. They stay back and to the side during the day, close enough to keep the herd between us and them. At night, when we stop, They circle wide and watch. I saw the reflection of their windshield near the tree line last night. We walk back to the RVs together. The rules we built this mobile village on are simple. Move, but not too fast. Avoid main roads. Avoid big towns. Help others if it does not risk everyone. Decide everything important together. Now we are faced with a situation we never wrote a rule for. A hidden truck using the infected as a shield and stalking our line from a distance. A man in our group leaving at night to try to read patterns in that movement without telling anyone. I feel the weight of leadership settle a little heavier than usual on my shoulders. It was not official, but it happened over time. I drive point. I carry the master copy of the map, and my name ends up attached to every hard call we make. We cannot just keep rolling and pretend this is not happening, Jess says. If those people behind the herd decide to cut through, they will drive right into the side of us, and we will not hear them until they are too close. Mara closes Connor's notebook and hands it back. We need to see them, she says. Not a reflection at midnight, not tire tracks the morning after. We need to know who they are and what they want. The plan comes together faster than any of us like. That is how you can tell it is necessary. We will move out as if nothing has changed. We will take the back road toward the river crossing as planned, but stop short at a narrow farm lane that splits off and curves behind a low hill. From the highway, it looks like a simple pull-off. From the lane, there is room for the caravan to back in and park in a rough L shape behind the roll of land, mostly out of sight. We will leave one RV, Jess's smaller one, half exposed near the mouth of the lane, angled as if we did not have time to straighten it. We will start one generator and leave it humming near her rig. Lights off, but noise on. Bait. If the truck shadowing us has any interest in what we carry, it will not ignore a modest line of campers half hidden and sounding weak under the open sky. The herd is the variable we cannot fully account for. Connor believes it will drift on ahead if the truck breaks away from it to investigate us. I am not certain. The dead move for sound, but they also wander for no reason we recognize. We roll out within the hour. The rest stop falls behind us, visible in my side mirror for a few seconds before a bend in the highway hides it. I keep the speed low, 25 miles per hour tops, enough to keep air moving through the radiator but not enough to lose the others on turns. The land out here is all long fields and occasional clumps of trees around old farmhouses that now sit dark and hollow. A few times we pass abandoned cars on the shoulder. We do not stop. Bodies are not the danger anymore. Anything that was going to rise already has, or rotted out where it lay. The real threats are engines that still work, and minds that are desperate enough to hurt others to stay ahead of the next bad day. The river glints ahead in the distance, and then vanishes again behind low hills. I count off mile markers in my head, estimate the distance to the farm lane from my last mental pass through the route. The radio stays quiet except for short confirmations at each minor landmark. When we reach the lane, I signal with my blinker, an old habit that makes Mara smile or shake her head sometimes. I turn in and ease the RV down the gravel path. Grass brushes the underside, and the vehicle rocks slightly. Behind me, one by one, the others follow. We pull halfway around the gentle curve of the hill, then stop. Lucas and Pete hop out first, guiding the backing and swinging to get the rigs into place. From above, our formation would look messy, but from the highway it will appear worse. That is the point. We leave Jess's RV near the opening, angled awkwardly, one tire touching the grass slope, as if someone pulled in fast and gave up before straightening. The generator, small but loud, goes on a milk crate beside her rear bumper. It rattles and hums, a steady mechanical chatter that we all wince at, but accept. Once everything is in place, we kill the rest of the engines, lock the doors, and take positions. My spot is on the hill with the binoculars and the radio. From here, I can see over the top of the grass to the highway beyond. The others are tucked behind wheel wells and near rear doors, out of sight but able to move fast if needed. Connor lies a little further out, hidden behind a fallen fence post, with the job of watching the fields near the herd's last known direction. His role feels like a compromise, still using his observation skills, no more solo walks. The minutes drag. Dust hangs in the air from our own arrival and slowly settles. The generator's new noise feels louder with each passing second, spreading out over the landscape and bouncing back in faint echoes from the tree line. I scan the highway in both directions. For a while there is nothing, just heat shimmer and distant birds cutting across the sky. Then, from the right, behind a rise, a faint hint of movement appears. At first it is only a darker ripple in the air, then a shape resolves. A truck cab, boxy and high, with a flatbed behind it partially covered by a canvas frame. It moves slow, which is how I know they are watching. Anyone just passing through would keep their speed, trusting distance and weight. This driver takes his time, engine low, coasting more than climbing. I watch as the truck approaches the pull-off where our tire tracks turn down the farm lane. The brake lights glow, the truck creeps past, then stops 50 yards down. For a long moment nothing happens. Then the reverse lights come on, and the truck backs up until it sits parallel with the mouth of the lane. The engine cuts, leaving only the drone of our generator. The silence from their side is louder than the machine on ours. I catch a flicker of movement behind the truck's windshield, and the swing of a door opening. 3 figures get out. 2 drop from the driver and passenger doors. 1 slips from the far side. They are dressed in mismatched gear, work jackets, cargo pants, bits of old sports pads strapped over knees and forearms. Nothing uniform. Each carries a weapon. 1 has a rifle slung. Another has a long metal tool, maybe a crowbar or pry bar. The third keeps hands free, which makes me think he carries a sidearm hidden somewhere. They do not shout or call out to announce friendly intent. They move with the careful pace of people used to bad surprises. One of them points toward the faint line of the generator's exhaust drifting above the hill. They speak to each other, heads close. From this distance, I cannot make out words, only the rhythm. The one with the rifle stays near the truck, covering the highway. The other 2 start up the lane on foot. We wait. That is the hardest part. It goes against every impulse to step out and control the moment with words. In the world before, you might call out, explain, try to frame the encounter so nobody misunderstood. Now the smallest reveal of position or number can shift everything. We need them closer. We need to see what their eyes do when they catch sight of Jess's lone RV and the humming generator. If those eyes sharpen with hunger at the thought of fuel and supplies, we will know. If they soften with relief and they call out before stepping into the open, that will be another story. The pair walks up the lane, boots crunching gravel. One of them raises a hand and points again, likely marking the awkward angle of the RV ahead and the lack of visible guards. The closer they come, the more details I can pick out. Their jackets are sun-faded. The metal bar one of them carries is polished along one edge from use. Not a good sign. Tools kept that clean mean they see action often. When they reach the bend where Jess's RV comes into view, the raiders stop. The generator rattles beside her rig, loud enough to cover small sounds from our people hidden behind the other RVs. The man with the metal bar nudges his friend and says something short. The other laughs once, sharp and ugly. He walks to Jess's side door and tries the handle. Locked. Instead of calling out, he steps back and nods. The man with the bar grips it with both hands and swings hard into the seam of the door. No warning. No, anyone home. That is all we need. I lower the binoculars and press the radio. Now! Engines fire behind me almost together. We drilled that with hand signals instead of long talk. Lucas hits his generator and slams it into a sheet of metal so it bangs and scrapes. The sudden noise kicks a flock of birds out of the far trees and pulls the quiet apart. It also wakes the infected. Connor's voice comes through from his position on the hill. Herd is moving northwest, he says. Fast. You woke them. No blame. Just fact. That is what we counted on. The 2 raiders by Jess's RV freeze for a second, then spin around. From where they stand, the sound could still be anything. Our rigs, the truck, the herds. Pete guns his RV once, then again. Out on the highway, the box truck reacts. I hear the starter whine, then the engine catch. Their guard on the roadside is shouting and waving for his friends to fall back. We were never planning a straight firefight. We do not have enough ammunition and we do not know how many people sit in the bed of that truck. The plan is simple. scare them back the way they came, and let the dead meet them halfway. Out in the grass, the herd is already rolling toward the shouting and the engines. The man with the bar bolts for the truck without looking back. His friend hesitates. He glances at the generator, at Jess's rig, at the other RV roofs that are now clearly more than one. He looks like someone deciding if he can grab a fast prize and still live. If Jess were really inside, that pause could kill her. She is not. She is behind Lucas's rig with a shotgun resting on the hood, sights set on the man's chest. We agreed no one fires unless someone tries to break into the circle. She steps out just enough so he can see her, and the weapon, and the way she holds it. He gets the message. His shoulders drop a little. Not surrender, just acceptance that this is work, not an easy grab. He backs away with his hands slightly out, then turns and runs for the truck. In seconds, he is in the cab with the others. The truck jerks forward and swings onto the highway at a bad angle. The rear wheels hop, gravel sprays, the engine climbs. They are done stalking. Now they just want out. I track them with the binoculars as the truck picks up speed and drifts toward the far edge of the road where the land dips. Connor cuts in again. Contact, infected on their flank. I see them a moment later. Figures rise from the low ground one by one, unsteady, heads turning toward the truck's engine. They pull together in a loose clump, some quick, some slow. The driver swerves and tries to hold a narrow line between ditch and bodies. It almost works. One infected hits the side of the flatbed and tumbles away. Another goes under the rear wheel with a bump I feel even from here. The rest turn and fall in behind the noise, some chasing the truck, some drifting toward our lane. We knew some would peel off. Sound does not draw only what you choose. Time to go, Mara says behind me. No shout, just a flat order. Everyone moves. Engines rev again, now for us. Jess kicks the generator off and hauls it into her rig. Lucas drags the folding fence panels back onto his trailer in a fast, messy stack. Pete checks the lane and calls, "Clear." I drop into my seat and slam the door. The springs sag under me. The engine fires on the second try. Jess is still shoving cable inside when I ease my RV into gear. Behind me, Pete's bounder coughs, then settles into a steady rumble. Lucas straightens out the trailer, the fencing clattering. Connor reports in a tight voice, "Main herd is on the truck, a handful drifting toward the lane. You have a window." I do not waste words answering. I drive. The RV noses toward the mouth of the dirt lane. At the edge, I catch sight of the first infected reaching the gravel. Head turned toward us, arms hanging. I push the pedal a little more and feel the RV pull us up onto the highway. One by one, the rest of the caravan follows, wheels bumping from dirt to pavement. We turn away from the truck's direction and take the road that bends west. It is not about running from them or chasing them. It is about distance and noise. We want space between us, the truck, and the herd we just stirred. In the mirror, the lane shrinks. A handful of infected spill out, then more, but we are already putting yards between us. One tries to run, stumbles, and disappears from view. I hold 25 miles an hour. Any faster and we risk trouble on curves. Any slower, and we stay in reach of anything that decides to push itself. The radio stays quiet except for short checks at turns. We do not need long talk. We all see the same broken road. The next stretch is a line of small decisions. At a main intersection, we skip the wider road with dead traffic lights and take a narrow service street behind old warehouses. When the map tempts us with a shortcut through the center of a town, we go around the edge instead. We pass a gas station with the canopy collapsed and dark stains under the pumps. Nobody even suggests stopping. Anything worth having there was taken or ruined long ago. We rely on our own cans and the diesel drums chained to Lucas's trailer. The infected we see are scattered. One stands in a store doorway, another in a yard, another in the middle of a side street. We roll past with windows up, eyes forward. It is too easy to start putting the faces of people you knew on strangers' bodies. By early afternoon, the river bridge shows ahead. Long concrete rails, metal truss, narrow lanes. Nowhere to turn around halfway. A small toll plaza and a half-raised barrier arm on our side. We slow. Eyes open, I say into the radio. If that bridge is blocked solid, we back off and find a different crossing. No one answers, but I hear hands shift on steering wheels and the rattle of gear. I creep to the toll booths until I can see the span. The far lane has 2 cars side by side near the middle, doors open. The near lane has a delivery van half-angled across farther out. There is a narrow weave between them. It will be tight, but it is there. We will not get a second try. Closer in, a different problem appears. A cluster of infected around the toll building and old restrooms. Maybe 20. Some press their hands to the glass of the booth. Others shuffle near trash cans and rails. They must have been pulled here back when this road still saw traffic, then stayed when the bridge jammed and nothing else came. Now our engines give them something new. A few faces turn. Shoulders and feet follow. They start toward us, slow at first, then with more focus. We push through, I tell the others. No stopping. Nudge if we have to. Keep the line moving. Mara, behind me in the clinic, answers, "Copy." I grip the wheel and ease toward the gap between booth and barrier arm. The first infected steps into the lane in front of me. The old security uniform still hangs on its shoulders. The patch is torn but there. The eyes are empty. I tap the horn once. That just brings it closer. There is no clean way. I steer slightly off-center and let the RV's weight shove it aside. The hit jars the column in my hands. I feel a bump under the chassis as it goes down and away. I do not look in the mirror to see if it gets up. Hands slap metal on my sides as the rest close in, but the glass holds. Behind me, the other rigs follow my path, each one giving glancing hits when there is no room left to avoid. The herd is too small and slow to stop 5 RVs and a loaded trailer. Our mass and steady speed carry us onto the open bridge. On the span, wind pushes against the side of the RV. I correct, eyes moving between the van ahead and the thin strip of free lane. The van's back door hangs open over slumped cardboard boxes. No movement inside. I fold the side mirror in so it does not catch the sedan we brush past. The space is just enough. The RV's side scrapes paint off the dead car with a long grind, but we slip through. Keep spacing, I say. If someone stalls, do not jam the brakes. Go around. Fix it on the far side. For a second, I picture the clinic stalling in the middle and everything after that. Then push the picture away. One risk at a time. We make it. All 5 rigs and the trailer roll off the far end onto solid asphalt. I pull into a small overlook lot. We idle in a loose half circle and check each other. No broken glass. Scratches, dents, and a few smears on bumpers where we clipped infected. Mara notes the marks for cleaning later. The first weeks of the outbreak taught everyone bad lessons about surfaces. We still keep certain habits even if the risk is lower now. Jess comes on the radio. Rowan's okay. The hit scared him, but he is all right. I feel some tightness I did not want to name ease. Then I put us back in gear. We do not stay long enough for that toll booth herd to catch up. The day stretches into grey sky and more miles. We pass empty farms and burned houses. Wind pushes smoke smell that could be months old. Once we see a group of deer standing in a field, still and alert, watching us pass. An infected steps out of the trees behind them, and the deer vanish in an instant. The infected wanders after them for a few steps, then drifts toward our sound instead. It is too far to reach us. I still watch it in the mirror until a bend hides it. Near evening, I notice something off in the way the bounder moves. I have followed Pete's rig long enough to know its usual sway. Now there is a small twitch every so often, a stutter in its rhythm. The exhaust looks thicker, darker. I tell myself I am jumpy from the truck and the bridge. Then the radio crackles. Pete's voice is steady but tight. "Noah, temp is climbing. Oil pressure is jumping. I may have to pull out of line soon." I run the day's route in my head. There is a big store complex 2 miles up with a wide lot and more than one exit. Old life. It was a shopping center. Now, it is space to move. We take the next complex on the right, I tell everyone. "Pete, nurse it. If you hear knocking, kill it and coast." "Copy," he says. He has decades in trucks. If he sounds worried, the engine is worse than the gauges show. That last mile feels longer than the whole morning. Every small hill makes the bounder sag, then claw back. I hold my pace steady rather than ride the brakes. No sudden changes. Finally, the dead stores appear on our right, their signs blank, lot cracked. We turn in through a low curb entrance. The bounder gives a dull bang as my tires leave the highway. Not loud, but final. I park and twist to look back. Smoke seeps from under the bounder's front. The rig rolls a few feet on momentum and stops in the empty lot. Pete steps down slowly, hand on the frame. He studies the smoke and our faces. No curses, just a small nod. "That is it," he says when I walk over. Bang, shudder, no power. Oil under it already. I crouch. Dark liquid spreads under the engine. We are not fixing that here. We are not fixing it anywhere. The bounder will never move on its own again. We circle it as the light fades. Dead storefronts stare at us with boarded windows and broken glass. A few old cars sit at the edges, empty. The place feels abandoned even by scavengers. "We strip it," Lucas says. No excitement, just a verdict. Fast, before dark. Move what keeps us alive to the other rigs and the trailer. Leave the rest. His eyes go to Pete. This is not just steel to him, it is home. Pete rests his hand on the metal by the door, fingers pushing into grime. "We do what we have to," he says. "Better us taking it apart than a herd doing it for fun." We set a hard limit. Only survival gear, and we stop when the shadow line hits the front of the big store. No second chances. Lucas and I go underneath with jacks and blocks for the batteries, inverter, and a few safe cuts of wiring. Mara and Jess clear easy cabinets, pull blankets, curtains, and the nearest boxes of food. Connor takes the water system. The bounder's fresh tank is one of our biggest. He unhooks hoses, opens taps, and runs water into every container we have until they are full. Then, Lucas drops a hose into the fuel tank and drains what gasoline our empty cans can hold. Only one generator still takes gas, and the rest of the caravan runs on diesel, so we take what we can carry and leave the rest in the metal tank. Rowan carries lighter gear and stacks it near the clinic. He keeps glancing at Pete, unsure what to say. Even moving fast, we leave more in that RV than any of us want to admit. We still pull more than I expected. Lucas finds a forgotten set of good wrenches under a bench. We unbolt the easiest solar brackets and pass the panels down without dropping them, leaving the harder ones where they sit. Extra propane bottles roll to Lucas's trailer. Cushions become insulation. Oven racks become future grills. Most cabinets we do not even open. Decorative plates stay. Spare clothes stay. A lot of Pete's past stays. He pauses with one framed photo in his hand, then slides it into his jacket instead of a bin. That is the piece he keeps. The noise gives us company before we are done. A low murmur, then uneven footsteps from the far side of the lot. The sound wobbles between buildings. "We have movement," Jess says, already lifting her rifle. Mara grabs the binoculars. I climb onto a low concrete planter. Figures appear in the gap by a smaller store. 6, then more behind. Maybe 30 infected. Enough to crush us if we stay. "They are coming straight in," Mara says. "They heard us." We look at what is left in the bounder. Heavy, slow salvage and comfort items. We cannot justify any of it. "We are done," I say. "Back to rigs. Leave the rest." Pete sits on the stripped bed frame for one more second, then stands. "Pull the plates," he says. "I do not want my name hanging on that thing when it rots." Lucas pries off the license plates and tosses them into the trailer. Then we move. We fall into positions we have practiced too often. Rowan gets a boost into Jess's rig. Mara runs for the clinic. Connor caps a half-filled water container and drags it to the trailer. The infected spread out, some drawn to the clank of a dropped wrench, others to our footsteps. Their clothes tell who they were, but we do not have time for those stories. A store apron, a delivery uniform, a high-vis vest, an ID badge swinging from one neck, all wasted. I climb in, and start the engine. The RV rattles to life. I glance once at the bounder. It sits lower now, doors open, windows dark. An infected in a blue shirt reaches it and puts both hands on the side panel as if claiming it. On the clinic step, Pete watches the hand slide along the paint until it finds the open doorway, then looks away. We move, I say into the radio. Slow until we clear. Do not aim at them unless you have to. We still have a small gap. We want to keep it that way. Pulling out with 4 rigs instead of 5 looks wrong in my mirrors. There is an empty space in the line where the bounder used to sit. The infected swarm over the dead RV as we steer wide around the lot. A few peel toward us, but most cling to the biggest, closest shape. As we reach the exit, one infected climbs inside the stripped shell and disappears in the dark. I face forward, hand steady. We do not look back again. We leave food, tools, and the shape of Pete's old life in that shell. The dead can sort through it. We cannot. We stay on the move until well after dark. Headlights stay off longer than is comfortable, then come on one by one when the road vanishes in front of us. Light catches signs, eyes in ditches, shapes in side streets that back away from the beams. Living or dead, no one wants to stand in bright light now. When we finally stop, it is at a distribution center on the edge of an industrial strip. Chain link and barbed wire surround the yard, with one cut section rolled back. We slip through and park in a square against the loading dock. Concrete walls cover our backs. We put up what fence we have, run the minimum cables, set cameras. No one speaks much. The work and the loss sit on everyone, especially Pete. He tests his new bunk in the clinic 3 times before he accepts it. After the perimeter is set and the dash cameras blink, we meet under the dock in the shadow. We sit on old pallets and crates. The air smells like dust and cardboard. We are 4 rigs now, Jess says. Less room, more weight on each. She is just counting. Lucas lists what we took and what we lost. More solar on 2 rigs, extra batteries on the trailer, better tools, less total storage. Mara glances toward the dark yard. We had a herd on us in a couple of hours, she says. The truck used them as cover. We pushed that aside once. Someone else will try that trick again. Connor opens his notebook and adds short notes. Lines for routes, arrows for herd moves, marks for breakdowns. It looks messy, but he sees the pattern. We got lucky, he says. Open lot, small herd. Engine died near an exit instead of on that bridge. We cannot keep counting on that. We need rules about when we strip and when we cut loose, how much noise we make, and how we deal with other groups. We have been too soft there because none of us wanted to be the ones who fire first. His tone is flatter than before. We write the first new rule on a piece of cardboard. Rule: no full strip jobs in open lots unless we can fence or cover all sides. If an engine dies in a narrow road, we grab what we can in 15 minutes and leave the rest. No more hour-long salvage while the world listens. It hurts, but no one argues. Jess gives the second rule. Rule: when anyone spots another vehicle or a clear settlement, engines stay running, doors stay closed. Any talk happens through glass or from behind cover. We only step out if we are sure who owns the high ground. It feels ugly, but this is not the world of neighbors and block parties anymore. We sleep in shifts. Night passes with wind on concrete. Something once scratching the fence, a far-off animal call. No engines, no screams. Morning comes grey. We roll out again, through industrial blocks into scattered houses. We see fresh tire tracks turning down side streets. A gas station stripped clean with empty cans stacked neatly in a corner. Footprints near a church. We do not follow any of it. We keep our own line. 3 days later, real trouble finds us at a crossroads town on the lip of a wide valley. The map gives us one sane route through. It runs right through this place. From a distance, it looks dead. Low buildings, a peeling water tower, a school, gas station, a few brick fronts. Closer, details show life. Cars pulled neatly aside, road signs turned or painted. A fresh barricade of trucks and pallets across the main street just past the first row of buildings. "Someone lives here," Jess says on the radio. "More than someone." I slow us and scan roofs. Sun flashes on glass at the top of a hardware store. Window or scope, it does not matter. "Close ranks," I say. "Engines stay on." The barricade is low but thick. Hitting it would wreck our front ends. We cannot do that. A man steps out from behind a stacked truck when we are about 50 yards away. 30s, thin, faded jacket, pistol on his belt, rifle on the hood behind him. He lifts one hand, palm out. I roll my window down halfway and stop 20 yards short. Rigs behind me idle. "You are far from the interstate," he calls. He sounds almost amused, but his eyes do not. He studies our line the way we study his barricade. "Interstates are graveyards," I say. "We use backroads. We need to cross the valley. We are not looking for trouble." He nods once. "Everyone says that. Name's Carter. This is our road. Toll is simple." He ticks fingers. Fuel, food, information. The word toll feels wrong. This is not a game. It is a threat with a friendly coat on it. He wants enough of our stock to keep his people inside the barricade a little longer. "We can trade," I say. "Our people eat first. We keep enough fuel to reach the next safe stop. I can spare some medicine, tools, cans." I watch his face. What he dismisses will tell me what he really wants. He gives a thin smile. "Cans and pills are cute. What I need is that big tank," he says, chin toward Lucas's trailer. "I pull half your diesel. You still get out of the valley. I get to keep these folks fed. You give me half. I let you cross, and I do not tell anyone else on our frequency that a caravan with fuel came through." That last line hits hard. "Anyone else" means he is not alone. A small voice cuts across before I can answer. Rowan leans into Jess's window, face in view. "We cannot give half," he blurts. "We barely have enough now." The sound carries. Carter's eyes snap to the kid. His face softens for a second. "You have a child on board," he says. "That figures." He takes in our curtains and paint again. "Here is my problem. Every family says the same thing. They drive out full and leave us here to hold the road. That is not how this works." His hand drops to the pistol. On the roof of the hardware store, a prone shape shifts. I can see the outline of a rifle now that I know where to look. The air goes tight. Reverse out of town. The streets behind are narrow and cluttered. Turning the whole caravan there, under a rooftop scope, is asking to get boxed in. Smash the barricade. That puts Jess and Rowan in front and into crossfire. Step out on foot. That turns me into an easy mark. None of it is good. "We already lost one RV this week," I say. "If we give you half our fuel, we cut our margin to nothing. One more bad day, and we do not make it to the next place. That is not a trade. That is a slow death." Carter's smile dies. "Then maybe this is where your road ends," he says. "This street feeds my people. Your problem is not mine." A woman steps out behind him. Braided hair, shotgun held easy. Her eyes stop on our fuel drums. "We could take the rigs," she says. "Drive 2, strip the rest." She does not lower her voice. It is routine to her. Jess breathes a quiet word on the radio that would still pass YouTube's filters, but says what she feels. "We are not handing over rigs," she says. Mara adds, calm and low, "If we fire first, we are in a box with windows all around. Every mistake costs blood." I spot a narrow gap between a pickup and a small delivery van in the barricade. It is there, but ugly. We might squeeze through and tear metal, or we might hang up and die right there. Before we make that choice, a different sound starts up the valley. Low at first, then heavier, rolling between the hills. Not thunder, a herd. Many voices in one noise. Carter hears it and goes still. "Here we go," he mutters. He signals toward the roof. The sniper shifts position. The shotgun woman steps closer to him. "We have a wave every few days now," he calls. "If you want to argue over numbers, you picked the wrong time." The first infected appear at the far end of the main street. They pour out from between houses and around corners. Dozens at least. Maybe more. Hunting jackets, stained coats, ruined shirts, all turned toward engines and voices. The math changes. Carter knows it. I know it. For the next few minutes, we share a problem whether we like it or not. He moves first. Fine, he shouts. You give me one drum. You keep the rest. We open the wall and give you a clear lane. You help keep the front of that herd off our doors so it does not bury us. That is the deal. Take it or try climbing over them alone. One drum hurts, but we can live with it. Half we cannot. The front of the herd is already speeding up. I do not have time for a long counsel. Lucas, you heard him, I say. Pull one drum. Get ready to roll it. Everyone else, be ready to move the moment they crack that barricade. Lucas jumps out, unchains a barrel with shaking hands, and rocks it toward Carter. The hollow clunk of metal on asphalt carries straight to the herd. They quicken. Carter watches the drum stop 10 yards from his truck and nods. He barks orders. Engines rev behind the wall. A pickup in the center backs up, then pulls aside, leaving a narrow path that barely looks wide enough for my rig. When you go, you do not stop, he yells. We keep them off your sides. You cover ours. That is as fair as it gets. Fair does not mean much anymore, but the shape of the deal is clear. For the length of one street, our lives are tied to his. If we hang him out to dry, the herd will roll over his town and then pour back onto the road behind us. If he turns on us halfway, we will be too busy dodging hands and teeth to fight him. On my count, I tell our people. Clinic behind me, Jess behind Mara, Lucas last. Close enough that nothing can slip between us. If someone stalls, the one behind pushes. No gaps. No one argues. There is no time. I ease forward as the first infected hit the edges of town. Carter's people open up from windows and behind cars. Careful shots into the front ranks. We hold our own fire for anything that gets too close to our doors. I steer for the gap between the trucks. It shrinks with every foot. Infected pour in from the sides. A tall one in a torn jacket lunges at my grill and hits it with a heavy smack. I do not stop. The body slides under and away, and the frame of the RV shudders as we push into the narrow path Carter opened for us. We reach the gap. The pickup driver backs up at the last second and gives me just enough room. As I squeeze through, I see Carter in the windshield for half a heartbeat, shouting and firing into the side of the herd. The shotgun woman beside him pumps and fires in short, careful blasts, aiming low to knock bodies down instead of showing off. He is not careless. That does not make him safe. It just means he knows what he is doing. Past the trucks, the street opens for half a block. Storefronts on both sides, doors and alleys spilling infected into the lane. Some slam into our sides and grab for mirrors and ladders. Jess leans out just enough to shoot one in the leg when it latches on Lucas's door handle. It drops and tangles two more. Mara keeps the clinic tight on my bumper, jaw clenched, Rowan's face pressed to the glass. Keep going, I say on the radio. No stops. If one rig gets swarmed, the one behind pushes it through. Halfway down the block, a delivery truck blocks most of the lane. It has sunk into broken asphalt, and we never saw it from the barricade. There is no clean angle around it. I barely shout a warning before the impact. My bumper hits metal with a heavy crunch. The truck shifts and groans but does not clear enough. The RV bogs, wheels spinning, the engine straining. Infected immediately crowd toward the jam. Mara does not wait for instructions. She rams the clinic into my rear bumper hard enough to throw me forward in the seat. The extra push shoves the delivery truck another foot. Metal screams, glass cracks, but the gap widens just enough. I grind past, scraping my side panel and folding the truck's mirror flat. Jess and Lucas tuck in close and use the same opening before more infected can pour into it. The Caravan drags through the choke point like a moving wall, and then we are out, rolling past the last houses and into open valley. When we clear the last yard, the herd noise fades behind buildings and distance. We do not slow until we are sure nothing still clings to bumpers or ladders. Then, we slip onto a narrow farm track beside the main road and stop for a quick check. My radiator is dented but holding. The clinic's front bumper is bent in a corner. Jess's rig wears fresh scratches. Lucas's trailer has a missing side panel, but the fuel drums are chained tight. No one is hurt. No one is missing. It is more than we had any right to expect. Then, the radio crackles to life on the same frequency Carter used. A panicked voice shouts, "Carter, they broke through the south alley. We cannot hold them. They are in the square." Another voice overlaps, high and strained. "We need people on the east side. They are coming through windows." Screams crowd the background until the transmission cuts in static. Mara stares at the radio. "Do we go back?" she asks. For a moment I imagine turning around, fighting back into that street to drag strangers out. The picture is short. We would drive straight into a feeding ground with half our fuel and 4 rigs. Even if we pulled a few out, most would still die there along with some of us. Rowan would pay for that later. "All units," I say. "We keep moving. We made our deal. If we go back now, we die in that town, and Rowan dies somewhere else. That is not a trade." Jess's head nods once in my mirror. Lucas mutters something that sounds like agreement. Connor closes his notebook without writing another word. We drive in silence while the valley opens around us. That night, we park in a shallow hollow near trees and a dry creek bed. No one suggests a meeting at first. The air inside each rig feels heavy. It is Rowan who pulls us out of it. He walks into the center of the camp circle with his toy truck in hand and asks, "Did that man in the town get out?" No one lies. Mara kneels to meet his eyes. "I do not know," she says. "We helped ourselves through. Sometimes that is the only way we can help at all." He looks down, unhappy, but old enough not to argue, and goes back inside. When he is gone, Jess speaks. "We rolled in thinking we could talk our way through," she says. "Anyone who can build a barricade and hold a road is strong enough to take everything if it looks easy. A herd saved us this time, not words." Her fingers tighten on her rifle sling. "We need a rule about places like that." We write it on the same cardboard we used before. Rule: we avoid towns with clear barricades or obvious control unless there is no other route. If we must approach, we stay at distance, engines running, with an exit path already picked. No more rolling straight up to someone else's wall because the map says that road is faster. We tape the cardboard next to the atlas in my rig. It flutters every time a door opens. The weeks after that do not get easier, but they gain shape. We move slower with more weight spread across fewer axles. Every hill is a fuel decision. Every bridge is a risk. The sound of infected is never completely gone. Sometimes it drifts from far-off overpasses, sometimes from ditches when we pass too close. We see more signs of other survivors, smoke on horizons, fresh spray paint warning of traps or false safe zones, a radio voice one evening inviting anyone to a secure compound 2 days' drive south. We mark that spot in red and steer away. Inside the caravan, we refine our own laws. Night watch is doubled. No one goes beyond the glow of the rigs alone, not even for a quick noise check. We spread supplies so each rig carries some fuel and food, not just Lucas's trailer. It adds weight, but losing one RV no longer means losing one category of resource. In off hours, Lucas welds more brackets over doors and bolts mesh over weak windows. From outside, the rigs look rougher and more patched, but the doors shut cleaner and the glass is harder to crack. Mara keeps a written inventory nailed to the clinic's wall so no one wastes time digging for medicine in a crisis. We hit more infected clusters as we creep closer to what were once big cities. Most are small enough to slide around or pull away with noise, but some push back. One day, we detour through a tight neighborhood to avoid a fallen overpass and run straight into a bus across the road. It looks empty until bodies step out from behind it and from under porches. Too many, too close. We throw every rig into reverse. Jess leans out and drops any that get close enough to touch bumpers. Connor throws a wrench into a side alley. The clatter pulls half the group away for just long enough. We back around a corner and pull onto another street while the herd pours into the space we just left. Later, we wash fresh handprints and old stains off the sides of the rigs and write nothing about it except a small mark on Connor's map. Not every problem that finds us walks on dead legs. One afternoon we sit at a rest area, fenced off with our panels, taking a rare short pause. Rowan kicks a ball against Jess's RV. Mara sorts bandages. Pete fixes a cabinet hinge. I walk the fence line and almost miss movement at the trees because the light is strange. Then, 5 figures step out of the shade in a loose line. 4 men and 1 woman, all armed, moving with the slow confidence of people used to taking control. Visitors, I call. Doors close. Engines cough awake. The folding table disappears back into the clinic. Rowan's ball rolls under a car as he scrambles inside. The lead man lifts one hand. "Relax," he says. "We just want to talk." His voice is smooth, but his eyes never stop measuring our rigs. "Talking can happen from there," I answer. "Say what you came to say." He grins. "We run a camp up the road. Heard engines. Engines mean fuel, food, maybe medicine. We can offer protection and company. We join up, share work and watch. Everyone comes out ahead." It sounds neat. His posture ruins it. People who really want to help do not arrive in a firing line. "We are not joining a camp," I tell him. "We move. That keeps us alive. We can trade. That is all." His grin fades. "You are in our hunting ground," he says. "We keep herds thin in this stretch. That service costs something." The word hunting tells me how he sees the land and anyone on it. Jess steps up beside me. "We are not paying protection to strangers with rifles," she says. The woman in their group glances at her, and then at the lead man. "The longer we stand here, the more sound spreads," she says. "Decide fast." He shrugs. "Fine, we keep it short." He lifts his rifle a fraction. I shout, "Stop!" At the same time, Jess shifts her stance. One of his men edges sideways for a better angle on the clinic doors. The woman tightens her grip on the shotgun. The moment tips past words. The first shot cracks through the lot. I still do not know who fired it. Everything after is flashes and noise. We had trained for infected, not people. Infected run straight. These 5 duck behind cars, lean around tree trunks, fire low at tires. I hit the gravel behind my hood and yell for our people to stay behind the rigs and keep the clinic covered. Mara drags Pete down behind a wheel well. The woman drops to a knee and sends tight blasts toward our vehicles, trying to disable them, not kill us outright. Gunfire rolls out across the highway and into the trees. It pulls in something worse. The first infected reaches the edge of the rest area, then more behind it. Our little fight has turned a quiet stop into a beacon. Jess sees them first and shouts, "Infected incoming!" The lead man glances back and his face changes. For the first time, he looks unsure. That split second costs him. One of our rounds hits his leg and drops him. The woman grabs his collar and drags him backward while firing a last angry shot in our direction. Another man is slower. An infected grabs his arm, pulls him off balance, and he disappears under a pile of bodies. We do not watch what follows. "Engines!" I yell. "Inside, now!" We pull back toward our rigs. The infected are close enough that I can hear their breath and the slap of shoes on pavement. I slam my door, twist the lock, and turn the key with hands that do not feel steady. The engine catches. In the mirror I see Mara hauling the clinic door shut with one arm, while pushing Rowan behind her with the other. Jess cuts hard around a trash can, and lines up for the gap in the fence. Lucas swings his trailer in a tight arc that nearly clips a tree. An infected manages to climb onto the back of his trailer and starts to pull itself up the grate. Connor leans out of the side door just far enough to smash it loose with the butt of his rifle. It drops and vanishes under the crowd. We burst through the opening in the fence and bounce onto the highway in a loose line. Infected claw at fenders and ladders and fall away as the speed builds. We do not slow for a long time. Only when the road curves and the mirrors show empty space do we ease off the throttle. The radio check is short. No one is shot. The worst of the damage is a shattered window on Lucas's rig that never made it past the sheet of plastic and plywood he had already mounted, and a fresh groove across my front fender. The worst hit is not steel. It is the reminder that people with plans and rifles worry us more now than the dead do. Pete sits in the clinic with his hands clenched on his knees, breathing in slow, measured pulls. There is blood on his sleeve. For a moment, Mara thinks he is wounded, but when she peels the fabric back, it turns out to be someone else's. He must have brushed against one of the men in that brief, chaotic rush for cover. The realization shakes him more than a direct hit might have. "We have been on the road nearly a year," he says later, when we stop in a sheltered ravine. "I have seen infected do what infected do. I have seen accidents. Today was the first time in months I felt another human aim at my head and mean it." His voice is quiet. There is no anger in it, only a tired understanding. We cannot keep meeting people with our hands halfway out. We add another hard rule that night. One we should have written earlier but did not want to admit we needed. Carterstown should have been enough to teach it, but we tried to talk in the open again and paid for it in bullets and new scars on the rigs. No more direct face-to-face negotiations in open ground with armed strangers. If someone enters our camp armed, we treat it as a threat, not a courtesy. The only person who speaks to them does it from cover, with another person covering that speaker. Children stay inside rigs whenever strangers are nearby, no exceptions. That one Rowan rolls his eyes at, but he obeys. Our list of rules grows until it looks more like a wall than a guide, yet each one costs us something to write. A piece of innocence, a habit of kindness, a little bit of the part of us that remembers block parties and roadside help. Still, those rules keep us moving. The caravan shrinks and shifts, but it does not break. We lose metal, we lose comfort. We do not lose each other. Not yet. On quiet nights, when the engines are cold and the world outside the blackout curtains is as still as it ever gets, I sit at the small table by my map and copy our rules onto cleaner paper. I line them up next to the routes we have drawn and the towns we have circled in red or blue. The list of places we avoid now is almost as long as the list of roads we still trust, and both sets of lines matter the same. The cardboard from the warehouse is gone, replaced by worn but sturdy notebook pages taped near the map. In the margin of one of them, I write a plain note without discussing it with anyone. The caravan holds because the people in it agree where to go and where not to go. I do not read that line out loud. It is just there to remind me why we keep adding rules instead of letting everything slide. Out there, in the dark fields and empty streets, the infected move toward any sound and any light. The living move toward fuel, food, and weak spots. In here, in the narrow walkways and cramped bunks of our rolling homes, we move according to the rules we chose together. Not out of hope, not really. Mostly out of habit and stubbornness. Tomorrow, if the engines start and the road holds, we will keep going in the same slow line, village intact, map updated, rules adjusted, eyes open for that heavy truck engine we still have not heard again. And that's where we'll stop for now. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me how the story hit you. What moments worked, what didn't, and what you'd want to hear next. And a big thank you to everyone supporting the channel, especially with extra membership: Carlos Herrera, Dominique Johnson, The Great Anywho, Jadala, Madam Midnight, Deborah Powell, William Blackwell, TJR. You keep this project alive. Until next time, Survivor. Jack's Nightmares signing off.